He stopped pushing the lawn mower the exact moment my 6-year-old daughter asked our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Evelyn, why do you always watch my daddy mow the lawn? The old woman froze with both hands gripping her porch railing. Her smile disappeared, her eyes filled with tears, and after a long silence she whispered words that changed all our lives forever. Because, she said softly, for 23 years, I've been waiting to see someone mow that lawn the way my husband always dreamed it would be. If you've ever wondered how an ordinary afternoon can uncover a secret buried for decades, this story is for you. Sometimes the people quietly watching from a distance aren't judging us at all. Sometimes they're carrying memories too heavy to speak aloud. Today you'll meet a father trying to rebuild his family's life, a little girl whose innocent question opened a forgotten door, and an elderly woman whose lonely heart had been waiting for someone brave enough to ask. Before we begin, if you enjoy emotional and inspiring stories like this, make sure to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories of kindness, hope, and humanity. I had moved into the little blue house with my daughter Lily only 6 months after my wife passed away from a sudden illness. Every Saturday morning I mowed the lawn because it was one of the few routines that made life feel normal again. Lily would sit on the porch with a glass of lemonade, waving every time I passed by. Across the street, Mrs. Evelyn always stood behind the white curtains of her old Victorian home. At first I barely noticed her, but over time I realized she never missed a Saturday. Rain or shine, she watched quietly without waving or speaking. The neighborhood had plenty of stories about her. Some people called her unfriendly. Others said she simply wanted everyone to stay off her property. Children avoided her house because its roses grew wild around a rusted iron fence, giving the yard a mysterious appearance. Yet I had never seen her behave unkindly toward anyone. She simply kept to herself. Lily, however, had no fear of strangers. That afternoon, while I emptied the grass catcher, she wandered across the street carrying 2 freshly baked cookies she had insisted on helping me make earlier. Before I could call her back, she was already standing on Mrs. Evelyn's porch. I hurried over, apologizing before the older woman even opened the door. "I'm so sorry," I said. "She likes making friends." Mrs. Evelyn looked down at Lily holding the plate with trembling little hands. "They're chocolate chip," Lily announced proudly. "Daddy says cookies make sad days smaller." The old woman's lips quivered into the first genuine smile I had ever seen. "They certainly do." Then came Lily's innocent question. "Why do you always watch Daddy mow the lawn?" Silence settled over the porch like a heavy blanket. Mrs. Evelyn stared past us toward our yard. Her eyes glistened. "Because every Saturday," she whispered, "it reminds me of someone I loved more than life itself." She invited us inside. The house smelled of cedar wood and old books. Family photographs covered every wall. In nearly every picture stood the same cheerful man with broad shoulders and kind eyes. "My husband, Thomas," she explained. She carefully removed one faded photograph from the shelf. In it, Thomas stood beside our house. Not hers. Mine. "He built that garden with his own hands," she said, pointing toward the flower bed near my porch. "He planted every maple tree along your driveway. He even buried a little metal box somewhere beneath that oak tree because he believed every family should leave a piece of themselves behind." I stared at the photograph. The flower bed looked exactly the same today. "The house belonged to you." She nodded. "We lived there for 38 wonderful years." I suddenly understood why she watched every Saturday. She wasn't watching me. She was remembering home. Mrs. Evelyn explained that after Thomas died from cancer, maintaining the property alone became impossible. Medical bills forced her to sell the house she'd never wanted to leave. Watching another family move in had broken her heart so deeply that she almost left town. But then, she smiled at Lily. I saw laughter return to those windows. She admitted something else. "Every week I worried you might cut down Thomas's trees." I laughed gently. "They're beautiful. I'd never dream of removing them." Relief washed across her face. Lily wandered through the living room until she noticed an old wooden chest. "What's inside?" Mrs. Evelyn hesitated before opening it. Letters. Hundreds of them. Thomas had written one every anniversary, birthday, and Christmas throughout their marriage. He believed words lasted longer than flowers. Lily carefully picked up one envelope. Mrs. Evelyn read it aloud. My dearest Evelyn, if these trees outlive us, I hope one day another family laughs beneath their branches. Homes aren't made from wood. They're made from love that refuses to leave. No one spoke afterward. Even Lily seemed to understand the importance of those words. Before we left, Mrs. Evelyn surprised me. I've never asked anything of the families who lived there after us. She looked toward my house. But could I visit the garden sometime? Anytime, I answered. The following Saturday, she crossed the street carrying gardening gloves that had belonged to Thomas. For the first time in years, she stepped through the old wooden gate. She walked slowly, touching flowers, trees, and porch railings as though greeting old friends. Then she stopped beside the oak tree. I remember exactly where he buried it. Using a small trowel, she gently dug into the soil. A few inches below the surface, metal scraped against metal. There it was. A weathered tin box. Inside lay yellowed photographs, handwritten notes, several marbles, a tiny toy truck, and one sealed envelope labeled, "For whoever calls this house home." My hand shook as I opened it. Thomas's handwriting filled the page. Dear neighbor, if you're reading this, it means life has continued exactly as it should. Please take care of this house. Laugh loudly. Forgive quickly. Plant something every spring. Invite lonely people inside. And if my Evelyn is still nearby, tell her she never stopped making this place beautiful. Mrs. Evelyn covered her face as tears streamed between her fingers. Lily wrapped both arms around her waist. You don't have to miss your house anymore, she whispered. You can visit whenever you want. The old woman knelt down despite her aching knees. I've waited 23 years to hear someone say that. From then on, Saturdays changed completely. Instead of watching from behind curtains, Mrs. Evelyn worked beside us in the garden. Lily learned how to grow tomatoes. I repaired broken fences Thomas had built decades earlier. We shared lunches beneath the maple trees while Mrs. Evelyn filled every meal with stories that made Thomas feel wonderfully alive again. Neighbors who once believed she disliked everyone slowly joined us. Someone brought lemonade. Another family donated flower seeds. Children helped repaint the old birdhouses. The lonely woman everyone misunderstood became the heart of our street. Months later, during the neighborhood picnic, Lily stood on a chair to make an announcement. I used to think families only lived in one house, she said. Now I know families can grow across the street too. Everyone applauded. Mrs. Evelyn quietly reached for my hand. Thank you, she whispered. I shook my head. No. Thank Lily. Because one honest question from a little girl had healed a wound that silence protected for more than 2 decades. Sometimes the greatest acts of kindness aren't expensive gifts or heroic rescues. Sometimes they're simple conversations that give someone permission to remember, to grieve, and finally to belong again. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments about someone whose quiet kindness changed your life, or a memory you'll always treasure. Your story might encourage someone else who needs hope today. And if you believe compassion can turn strangers into family, please like this video and subscribe for more inspiring stories about kindness, hope, courage, compassion, and humanity.